Hi everybody, welcome back aboard the Profiles from the Titanic, a Horizon's Edge channel where we take a look at the people on board the Titanic and that fateful night in 1912. And you know, the more I keep doing these little profiles, the more I start realizing that, man, these are some sad stories, these some tragic stories. And they just keep getting worse all the time, it appears. And now as we go back to the third-class passenger list, and remember, the third-class passengers, only 25% of them survived. There were over 700 on board, and only 170-something survived, so about a 25% survival rate, so that is just not good. And you know, we already profiled a little bit earlier the Goodwin family, where all 8 of them were lost, unfortunately. And you know what? They were not the largest family to go down with the ship that night. Today in the profile, we have another large family, the Sage family from England, who again were coming over to America to make a better life for themselves, and unfortunately did not make it. A real kind of tearjerker of a story on this one when you find out how big this family was. So today in the profile from the Titanic, the Sage family. Please hit the subscribe and the like button so I can keep doing this and keep searching and tell everybody you know profiles from the Titanic. Hope you enjoy the video, and we'll catch you in the next one. John Sage was born in London in 1867, and early on in his life was working at various jobs. By 1890, he had married Anne Kazali, and the two newlyweds began their family. Eventually, they would have 9 children between the years 1891 and 1907. By 1911, the family lived in Peterborough, and John was working as a baker. In April of 1911, John and his oldest son, George, traveled to Winnipeg, Manitoba, and got jobs with the Central Pacific Railway. By the fall of that year, they had purchased some land in Jacksonville, Florida, and intended to move the entire family there to start a fruit and pecan farm. After returning to England by the end of the year, the family was slated to travel aboard the Philadelphia, but due to the coal strike in England, their plans changed, and instead they booked third-class passage on board the RMS Titanic. They boarded the ship on April 10th at Southampton to begin their exciting new chapter in their lives. Not much is known about the family on the night the Titanic struck the iceberg, but there are reports that the oldest daughter, Stella, who was 20 years old, made it into one of the lifeboats, but got out of it when she realized that the rest of the family could not go with her. Nothing is known about whether the family was not allowed on the lifeboat, or whether if the boat was full, or if they had gotten separated during the confusion. All 11 members of the Sage family died when the Titanic sank. On April 22nd, 12-year-old William Sage's body was pulled from the ocean by the recovery ship. His was the 67th body found, and was buried at sea that same day. Relatives were hoping that some members of the family might have survived, and when the reports of some unattended children made the news around the world, they hoped it might be one of the Sage children. But their hopes were dashed when it was found that the 2 children were the boys belonging to Michel and Marcel Navratil of France. The Sage family holds the title of the largest family to perish in the tragedy, with all 11 members dying. Thanks for watching Profiles from the Titanic.